name's Ania Kobuszewska, and I'm Polish, and both of my parents, my mom and my dad, are from Poland.
My name's Neha. Background, so I'm in North Indian, so I'm from New Delhi, and my mom and dad are both from New Delhi.
I'm Rebecca. My parents are both from a tiny village in Cameroon.
My name is John Parente, and my background is Italian. My dad was born in Italy.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and I am from Canada. I was born here, and my parents were born in China.
My name is Libby. I'm from Canada. I was born in Botswana, and then I've lived in Sri Lanka and Mongolia and Bangladesh.
My name is Gabriel Grassi. I was born in Israel, and my mother's from Ukraine and my dad's from Belarus.
My name's Miriam. I'm Muslim, and my parents are from Iraq.
My name's Archana. I'm 3/4 Sri Lankan and 1/4 Indian, which I found out this year. So, thanks. My parents are they all grew up in Sri Lanka.
I don't feel especially connected to Italian culture because my dad came to this country when he was young, when he was about 6 years old. So he grew up in quite a Canadian environment.
I like some aspects of my culture, but some parts were just things my parents worked really hard to leave behind.
I feel pretty connected to my culture only because I have to speak Chinese to my parents because that's the only language that they know of.
I'm pretty decently connected to my culture. I feel though that being in Ottawa, there's not a huge Indian community.
Polish culture is very much closely linked to religion, and largely Roman Catholicism, and my family is not religious.
When I first came here, I was around 3 or 4 years old, so obviously I've grown up and things have been kind of washed out.
I identify with it, but I don't really practice anything that's kind of related to that.
My parents are both really poor.
But yeah, just very, very different. I know it's very different. I mean, sometimes I can't really resonate with how different it is, but I know.
First of all, the completely different political climate. My parents grew up in communist Poland.
I think it's pretty similar. Both my parents grew up overseas as well.
Very different from my dad's life when he came to Canada. He came as a refugee just after World War II.
So yeah, I feel like I'm a bit more carefree and not, especially as a child, less aware.
His family had 48 hours to decide whether they wanted to stay under that government or flee the country with what they've been carrying. So they decided to leave the country.
And I think in India it's just a completely different lifestyle. I think the values are completely different too from here.
I wouldn't say I live a sheltered life, but it's definitely a lot more sheltered than my parents were.
So my parents would be kicked out of the door at 8 a.m. We were told don't come back until dinner. And if you're late, well, it sucks, you're not eating.
Watching them not being able to speak English is very difficult.
I definitely think when I was younger, I was not a fan of being an immigrant. I really wasn't. I was oh man, I wish I was like everyone else. But as you grow up, you definitely start to appreciate it way, way, way more. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it's just true.
I think you appreciate maybe a little bit more what you have because you know what the struggle was to get you to the point of where you are.
It's not always as simple as some people think it is.
I think what's important to know just the diversity of experience. Thank you. I think thank you for as much as you have brought your culture into my life. I would obviously always wish to have more experience.
I really appreciate being able to have had the experience of traveling a lot.
I'm grateful for how you raised me. I like how I turned out, so thank you for that, and I love you lots.
I know it doesn't seem like I like hearing about all your stories from back home, but I am just.
Thank for everything you've done and the hardships that you went through were very inspiring to many people.
I love you. That's a pretty cheesy thing to say, but I honestly do love my parents.
That I love them and that you know the way they're raising me, the experiences that I've had, and like although some have been negative, some have been positive, like it's made me who I am, and I'm proud to be Indian, and like glad that